Echinacea. Wow. This regal, majestic plant just stands tall as far as being the immune system strengthening and supporting plant of just about all time. If there was a plant that represented North America in my idea of it, it would be Echinacea. It adapts to so many things. It grows in many different areas where there's lots of water, where there's no water. It is a natural antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory type properties. Echinacea has lots of things that it can be attributed to it, but it is misused and kind of misunderstood. So today we're going to explore some of the myths, some of the experiences that we have, and some of the things that should be explored in your life with this plant that promises that strength and support for the body. It just does. It's just a strong herb that has this beautiful plume that comes forward. There's different types of Echinacea. Echinacea angustifolia root, Echinacea angustifolia leaf. Angustifolia is the different name that distinguishes it between another. Then there's another species that's Echinacea purpurea, and you can use the leaf or the root of that. There's Echinacea. There's all kinds of different species of this type of Echinacea. And so the Echinacea comes forward on the market in different ways. There are some Echinaceas that I believe Echinacea tenacia is endangered, so that's one that's not allowed on the market, but you could certainly grow your own in your backyard. We do, and it's a plant that grows really, really easily. As you know, I get lots of plants, and so this one actually comes forth out of the ground very easily, and it's a very strong, robust plant. The root system is very strong and bold and holds and supports the plant. Even though the plant may die down at the top, it always comes back bold if the root system is still supported with even just a little bit of water. This is the root ground up, and it is just this plant that is so wonderful and so gentle. This one is a plant that it's not offensive to people to take. It doesn't have a bad odor or really bad smell. Just a little bit of a different herby type of taste, but it's a good plant, and it's an easy plant for just about everyone to take. It is native to North America. It is our North America shining, beautiful pink and purple bloom flower, well known in garden places as cone flower because it's so beautiful. And that's usually the beautiful pink Echinacea purpurea is usually what you find in your local garden store. Look further in places like Horizon Herbs and things like that, where you can get all different types of species of Echinacea and put in the ground and see what comes forward with these big, tall, beautiful plants. My mom put it in her yard, and it's starting to just take over the whole side, and when it comes up, it just lightens up that whole gray fence she has in the back, and it just comes forward and stays there for a long period of time. And she lives at 7,000 feet up in the mountains, and I live in the desert, and my Echinacea looks as good as hers. Mine gets a little bit beat up from the sun. It doesn't really love the heat of the sun, so it kind of starts looking a little crackly in the sun. But if you cut it back, it will come back beautiful again. This is one we should grow. The mesmerizing thing about this plant is that I just remember just all the stories, and then almost in every old textbook or old medical journal that uses herbs from the turn of the 19th century, I remember one of the first times that I really recognized Echinacea as being so powerful is when I remember this doctor. He would ship Echinacea leaves every 24 hours to this gal who would juice the leaves of it. It's a very big plant with a big, strong stem to it, and the leaves are very hardy, and the head of it is very hardy, and they would just grind up just about the whole thing and eat it every day, and they did that for immune support for symptoms associated with cancer. And I was mesmerized by that, and I thought, wow, that was at least 20 years ago that I'd heard that story, and it was really, really expensive. She was paying like $75 a day or something. And then fast forward to speaking at a group about herbs, a large group of Amish families getting to know herbs and wanting to know more about herbs, and we were speaking about it, and I got on the chalkboard and started to draw Echinacea because they thought they knew what I was talking about, and it was everywhere. It grew everywhere where they were. And so it was really fun for them to be able to connect to this plant and say, wow, this really can help our community with some of the things that it's going through. It definitely is in North America, North America's plant. It's the symbol of North America. You know how you see Chinese herbalism sometimes, most of the time, is represented by a ginkgo leaf. And that does represent them very, very well. Awesome, wonderful plant. But Echinacea, it really stands forward as being the herb that we all in this continent should look at taking and ingesting, because it is our plant that can support us in some of the things that are going on health-wise in our environment. It was moved over in the 1900s to Europe, and so it grows freely there now. We use the roots and we use the leaves, really the whole plant. It has kind of a zing when it's fresh. It kind of gives you that zingy feeling in your mouth. The fresh herb, it's a little hard to get, and so we use a lot of dried herb unless you grow it yourself. But it works wonderful in extracting processes. It's a great supportive herb. It's a great boost to help the body with the blood flow and just immune support. And even so much that the Sioux Indians, they use the fresh root for snake bites and for even rabies. Other Native Americans used it for coughs, for digestive upsets, for even pain in the throat, like sore throat, and toothaches. In America, before antibiotic medicine was so popular, infections of the respiratory and of the skin, even meningitis, diphtheria, tonsillitis, sinus infection symptoms, indigestion symptoms, diarrhea, cholera, and certain types of cancers were well known to have applied this herb to that patient and with that patient, because they would see effects of supporting the immune system. German physicians used it widely in the 1930s, and there was a lot of really great, wonderful attention that kind of came to it then, but it's kind of lost favor recently because there's been recent studies and media reports that are negative. So what do you look for when you're looking for Echinacea? What do we do? The study that was most recent was a study saying Echinacea didn't work for colds and flus. And so I looked more into that study, and I thought, how can that be? Well, one of the reasons why they had said that it didn't work is they had given people that had colds or flu symptoms 1 capsule of Echinacea. And you know how we feel about how we treat our herbs and how we don't put heat to them, we don't microwave them, and we don't do all these crazy things to them. Sometimes we heat them, but you know what I mean. We don't add chemicals to them, we don't add flowing agents, we don't want to add anything to our herbs. We want them to be just the herbs, just the food as they are. Well, the particular brand that was tested of Echinacea had flowing agents, and some of these flowing agents like magnesium stearic and stearic acid, there's studies showing that they lower the immune system for 24 hours. So let's say one of these flowing agents was in there. Maybe that's why they didn't notice a difference. They said they didn't notice a difference with their symptoms. But that's news to the rest of the millions of us that go to Echinacea the moment that we start to feel anything, because it supports the body. It just does support the body. Talking about studies and things with Echinacea, you have to pay attention, because here's the rule of thumb with herbs. There's a lot of folklore out there and a lot of bad press, and sometimes things get picked on that don't need to be picked on, but sometimes you need to look at it for yourself. And my rule of thumb, if I'm feeling better, if I'm feeling stronger, it's working for me and I'm going forward, and I learned that from my mom. This particular plant has lots of vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin E, all things that help support immune system. Has copper, iron, potassium, and sulfur and mucilage, and so that's why it supports all of the cells in the body. It works with the immune system because it really flows and helps open up and flow freely through the lymphatic system. It can help, there's some studies showing that it can help increase active white blood cells, including the killer T cells and the gamma globulins, and that it has an antibiotic, antifungal property, antiviral property. It can help with wounds and things like syphilis and gonorrhea. It can help the body support respiratory infections infections, like supporting symptoms of colds and flus and coughs and hay fever, settling the body down, even asthma and sinusitis and sore throat, things that can just settling things down when they are inflamed. It can also help with urinary tract issues and symptoms associated with infections and things like that, and can help the body inhibit tumor growth. There's some study associated with that. And I want to talk about lupus only because of my experience, not from any experience that you guys have or I've read or any other information out there. Let's just talk about lupus. About 25 years ago, I had some lupus symptoms. A crazy herb lady grew this echinacea in her backyard, and she gave me a tincture of it. I had no idea what a tincture was at that time in my life. She gave me this tincture, and these silly symptoms, including the butterfly rash, went away. And since that day, every time I ever have a symptom, I go for echinacea. And a few years ago, I started looking into, wow, this really should be on the internet because there's a lot of people who have lupus that, and then I started talking to people who had lupus, and that's the big no-no, because they say no echinacea if you have lupus, because it makes your immune system go crazy, and and that's what your lupus is already doing. The autoimmune system is already not functioning well. I think they have misplaced echinacea with other immune stimulating drugs. This is an immune food. So wouldn't it be natural that you could take some of the leaves, the gentle leaves, and some of these things to be able to support the body? It would make sense to me if your immune system's out of whack, take immune supporting herbs. But that's not how the medical community sees it. And it doesn't make sense to me, and I need to speak out about it because it's hard and it's preventing people from feeling better. We just want to feel better. We just want to be better and be healthier. And so I was afraid to kind of tell that story for a long time. But that story is about me. It's not about you. It's not about the history of echinacea. It's about you and your body. It may work for me, but it may not work for you. That's my story. And the only reason I am is because I believe that echinacea needs to be talked about in a way that it deserves, because this plant deserves some attention. Come on, killer T cells. There's a study showing that increases that. Everybody would want to take part of that. This is a plant that is considered the king of blood purifiers. The king of blood purifiers. Healthy, pure blood can have room to bring toxins out of the body and bring nutrients to the cells. It's been used for boils, for gangrene, for abscesses, for slow healing wounds, topically, internally, well known as a snake bite remedy and spider bites. The lymphatic system just loves this herb. The lymph glands, any issues with infections and symptoms associated with that, and headaches, and sometimes even vertigo, because it can help move toxins through that may be stuck and causing some of these things. It can help with head confusion, and it can help with cell and tissue regeneration. In fact, it is so supportive that many organs respond to it. The spleen will respond to it. The liver responds positively. Your skin responds positively. Your kidneys wake up and say hello, and they're happy to. They're supported. Your bowels will function gently and more effectively when they're supported. And it can even help with some cases of enlarged prostate and symptoms associated with that. It has natural anti-inflammatory properties, so of course it affects the joints and can help ease some of that discomfort. It seems to have a cortisone type effect to it, and it seems to support the joints, but also supports all the mucous membranes like the lungs and the nose. And so if you've got mucus everywhere and things coming out of every part of the body, support it with echinacea, because the body helps move that through more effectively and kind of moving on to strengthening the body and repairing tissues. It is one that seemed to be very effective for symptoms associated with chronic fatigue syndrome, and also helps destroy free radicals in the body, which can cause like premature aging, damage from ultraviolet light. Those kind of things cause free radicals, and echinacea is one of those things that can help move it through the body. It is known to be very beneficial during pregnancy, and it is one that has very few cautions associated with it. Some people say that you should not take it every day. You should only take it every 7 days, and then you have to stop, or it increases the immune system too much. And then other people say 2 weeks, and I think the German commissionee, I think it says 6 weeks, but I'm not sure. We have to check the updated one. I have to tell you, just check your updated cautions with it. I mean, there's cautions all over just the amount of time that you take it. But I've seen people who take it for long periods of time, and they love it, and it makes them feel better. And other people who take it for short bouts here and there. Follow your body. Your body will tell you. The herb will tell you when you've had enough. Marry it with great herbs like myrrh and golden seal and Oregon graperoot. Marry it with all kinds of different herbs like peppermint and saw palmetto berry. Some of those ones will marry great with this in whatever particular area you want to strengthen and support the immune system in your body. Marry it with those herbs. So let's say you put it with feverfew, because you sometimes may have symptoms of headaches and things like that. Well, feverfew is known for headaches, known to help support those symptoms. So put echinacea with it. It'll take it there faster. It'll support it with lots of nutrients when you're there. You can have this herb fresh, get the fresh leaves or any part of it and put it in a smoothie. The roots aren't so much fun in the smoothie because they're pretty hard, but you can get it powdered, and you can use it powdered or cut. You can make it in a tincture. It's great for poultices, in salves, even in an enema when you have cold or flu symptoms. This regal plant with its crown of beautiful plumage, it just crowns what we need to say about herbs and where herbs need to go. You cannot take echinacea and take it the way fresh or dried properly, or take enough of it and not say, wow, I feel a difference. I notice this. It stands up and helps you notice it, but in a more gentle way, not such a forceful way like a number of other herbs are very strong, like chaparral comes forward very strong. Not like that. And echinacea will kind of slow down herbs that sometimes can be too harsh. Like golden seal root by itself is not nearly as effective as putting it with echinacea. And echinacea really just shines well when you add it with golden seal root, and then adding it with yarrow and adding it a little bit of cayenne or peppermint with it. Just make this plant go through every system of your body, and you start to feel better, and you start to feel healthier, and you start to feel well. And there's no denying it. And whatever studies will vilify this plant or support this plant, choose for yourself if you want this to be part of your life. And this is what can help you, because it helped me so much. And if I had read the information on the internet now, and that is out there in modern times about this plant, my symptoms of lupus and some of those symptoms of immune problems that I had, I don't think they would go away. I wouldn't have been brave enough to try this plant. This plant doesn't deserve that reputation. It deserves to be in every garden, in every household, helping us strengthen our immune system and making us better.